Hi, welcome back to the Crafty Author. My name is Anissa. I am the Crafty Author and welcome to my quilting room. Today we are going to be working on a rag quilt pillow. I figured since it was summer and it's hot, it was time to start lightening up the projects just a little bit, but keeping in that same groove of quilting. So we are going to make a rag quilt pillow. And I am going to be using my Cruella de Vil fabric that I picked up at Joann's last week. I'm also going to be using this solid red because it goes with it perfectly. You will need 11 of your main fabrics for this project. You will need 10 of your solid, and then you're going to need your backing fabric as well. So these are cut to 5 1/4. I used my AccuQuilt Go Me to cut them, and I am using the rag square 5 1/4 inch by AccuQuilt. It cuts 2 at a time, which is very convenient and very quick. It takes like 2 minutes to cut all this up. So without further ado, we are going to get started. I also wanted to mention that I will be using 100% cotton for the whole pillow. I find that 100% cotton causes it to rag very, very well. You can also use flannel, that works, minky works, fleece works, but today we're going to work with cotton. We're going to use cotton on the back and we're going to use cotton on the front. Normally, if I was making a rag quilt, I would use batting in the center, but I'm not going to. So I will just be putting the 2 cotton pieces together, and that is how we will sandwich for the pillow, because the pillow isn't going to be used for keeping a body warm. So there's no need to put the batting in there at this time. I have cut out my 10 squares already for the red, the solid color. Now I'm going to be cutting out our Cruella de Vil squares. So we are using the AccuQuilt Go Me. We're using the 5 1/4 inch rag square die. It comes with 2 of them, so it'll make 2 at a time. So you can just layer it like so. Just put your fabric on there and just layer. Now I do have some extra because I cut this for a different project, but I'm going to use it for this one. So I am going to have a little bit of waste at the end here, but that's okay because I'll just use it in the project that I was going to use it in to begin with. So no worries there. All right. Now, if you didn't want to have any waste at all, you would cut this exactly to 6 inches, and then you would have as little waste as possible. All right. So now we're going to put our mat on top, and we are going to roll this through after I fix it. There we go. Okay. So we're just going to give this a quick rub, and then you'll see that it actually slides right off. And it cut my squares perfect. So these are already fringed for me. And that's why I used this die, was so that it would be fringed for me. This cut 6 of them. So that is how you use the AccuQuilt Go Me to cut your squares. All right, so I did want to mention that this is a really great project to use up your scraps. So I'm going to use this Scrappy fabric that I had from Christmas, and I'm going to use this as my backing on my pieces. So you're going to put this backing on each piece that you have. So I'm just going to line up my Cruella piece here. And then I will also line up one of my solid red pieces right here to this backing. And then I will sew from this line here diagonally, and I'm going to sew another diagonal line here. So you're just going to sew an X. And I am not using thread that matches because I am just going to go ahead and use up the thread that I have in my machine for this project. So if you are going to make this as a gift, then I would say make sure your thread matches and, you know, everything is on the uppity up. But if you're just going to make like a scrap one like I am, then I think it's a great way to use up your thread and your scrap fabric. So we're ready to lay our pillow topper out. So I'm going to start with my main fabric, solid fabric, and main fabric for the top row. I'm going to do solid fabric, main fabric, solid fabric for the center, and then I will do main fabric, solid fabric, and main fabric for the bottom row. So you should have 9 squares total, 3 rows. Now, these are already pre-fringed, but if they weren't, and if you're working with a 5 1/4 inch square or even a 6 inch square or any size square, what you will do is you will sew a 1/2 inch down here, and then when it's all sewn together, you will fringe it yourself manually. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. So you want to put your wrong sides facing each other. So your 2 back sides should butt up and face one another. And once you do that, then you take you're going to take your sewing, go to your sewing machine, and you're going to sew a 1/2 inch from this edge in. If you've already got it pre-fringed, then you're good to go. You're just going to sew it and you're done. If you're doing it manually, you're just going to sew this all first, and then when you're done putting all of your pieces together, then you will go and you will use either your snips or your scissors, and you'll snip. You'll snip these probably about 1/4 inch, each of those little strips, 1/4 inch. So this is what you have now. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my wrong sides facing each other again, and I'm just going to sew down a 1/2 inch. And now my first row is done. And this is what I have. All right, so now we're ready to put our rows together for our front piece. So I'm going to put my top row down, and then I'm going to find my center row here, like that, and then my bottom row. And now I'm going to sew these rows all together. So again, it's just like when we did the pieces together here, when we sewed our blocks together, only this time, now we're going to do our rows, and they go together the same way. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to butt up my seams here, because that makes it much easier to hold everything in place. And I like to use pins for this. I find that it holds them together better than a clip at this point. I love quilting clips, but I don't love it for this part. So how I do this is I push this seam one way, and then I push the top seam the other direction. And then I match them up. And I can feel it when they match up. And that is how you get them to butt up evenly. So now I'm just going to sew that 1/2 inch again. And you want to be careful. You don't want to sew over your pins. And you want to take your time doing this, because you want to make sure that you have everything here. You really, with the pillow, doesn't much matter if things line up, because nobody's going to see this. It's going to get hidden. But if you were making a rag quilt, you would want it to align up. So it's a very good practice for that. Okay. And I like to pull that out, make sure that everything is laying nice and flat, and it is. So here's my back side. You can see how that's lining up pretty well, and then here's what it looks like. So I'm going to attach the other row and keep going. All right, for the backing, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to do 2 rows. So we're going to do main fabric, solid fabric, main fabric. And then we'll do another row of solid, main, solid. And then we'll do that again for the other half. Okay, so now I have my top piece, which is sewn together. I have my 2 back pieces, which are sewn together. So this is actually going to be a pillow that you can wash the inside of the pillow here. So all I'm going to do is put my main piece face down, and then I am going to put my top piece here, and I'm going to line those up here. And like I said, if you're doing this manually, you'll just do it the same way. Once we finish sewing the 1/2 inch around, then you will start the ragging process. Okay, so that part is done. Now I'm going to take my bottom piece and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up down here, but I'm going to have it overlap. It is going to overlap the back. So it should be overlapping. Because if we were doing this traditionally, we would have folded it over, we would have pressed it, we would have sewn it, but because it's a rag pillow, we don't want to do that. So now what we want to do, and we want to make sure that these sides are flat like here. So when we sew them, we want to make sure that we're actually sewing those in there too. So make sure that you're catching everything. I'm going to put a pin on the side here. It should look like that. It should look a little bit crazy to you. So if it does, then you're doing it right. Don't think you're doing it wrong. You're not. Rag quilts they're cool, but they go together a little bit differently. All right, so now that I have everything pinned together here, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sew around the whole thing with a 1/2 inch seam. All right, so it is finished. You will need a 10-inch pillow for this one. And if you can go maybe 9 inches, it might be a little bit better. I had a 14-inch pillow that I had to take the stuffing out of. So I'm gonna show you real quick how I did this, okay? So I just got these pillows at Joann's, so I'm just working with what I have here at home. This is what your pillowcase will look like once you're finished. Okay, like that. This is the back. So this is what happened when we put those 2 pieces together back there, created that pocket so that you could pull the pillow out. This is the pillow. You can see that it was 14 inches and I pulled the stuffing out. So how I did this. Now I still need to wash this pillow or this cover. So once I wash the cover, I will take a final picture and show it to you, but this is what it looks like. So I'm going to open up the back side here, as you can see, and I'm just going to take my pillow here and I'm going to just kind of scrunch it and I'm just going to stuff it in there. Now, that's why I said this might be a little bit better if you have an actual 10-inch pillow or a 9-inch pillow. But if you don't, and you just have to work with what you've got, then this is the solution. Take the stuffing out, okay? And then just work your pillow in there, which is what I'm doing. It's fitting in there fine. But I am just flattening it and making sure that the corners are going into the corners. Okay. And voila, got your pillow. Little better angle here. Okay, and it is covering the pillow. You can't even see it. It's all covered up. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed watching me make the Scrappy rag quilt pillow. And remember, if you're doing this manually, you'll put it together all the same way. It's just that at the very end, you'll go through and you'll snip everything. And I'm gonna throw this in the wash, and then I will dry it, and it'll get all fuzzy and really cute. And I will show you what that looks like. I'll take a picture. And that is it. So if you would like to follow me on social media, the links are down below in the description box. If you'd like to purchase an AccuQuilt, those links are also down below in the description box. If you purchase through those links, I do make a small commission as I am an Amazon affiliate. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to click that little bell. You'll get notified each and every time that I upload an awesomely cool new video. I upload videos on Tuesdays and Fridays, and keep on crafting. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.